Dímelo que lo que, mi gente linda, mi gente bella. Welcome to today's episode. This is episode 46. This is Tuesday. I want to do a little solo episode today, and I want this one to be raw. I want to talk to you guys. I want to let you guys know and keep you guys updated on everything that's been going on. And this has been like an interesting week in a sense that, in the beginning of the week, like I was like, when you do there's a lot of things that people talk about, right? And nobody talks about how it is to chase your dream when you're 39 years old, right? When you take the risk of leaving everything behind, and you're at 40 years old. I'm 39 right now, but like, let's be honest, but nobody says they get, I'm 39. You gotta be like, yo, I'm 40, son. So being 40 years old, chasing a dream is crazy, right? And there's a lot of things that people don't talk about. There's a lot of misconceptions. I think there's a lot of things that happen that I think that a lot of people are not raw about. And it's so quick. I feel like we live in a world, right, that a lot of people get on social media and they portray everything like happy-go-lucky. And I understand. I also came from an era that you don't say everything that's going on in your life, right? You also have to play this boundary of like what's private and what's public. And I feel like if you're younger than 40 years old, I think this is going to be extremely beneficial for you. And also with somebody that's in their 40s or trying to do something, I think this could be helpful. So, and when you're 39 years old, you don't have the same energy as a young person, right? So, but also you are also in a space that you're already done a lot of things and you kind of know what you want. And it's okay to not know if you don't know what you want to do. But I've been going to the comedy clubs, right? And there's been this thing of, especially doing in New York, I've been doing a whole lot of shows that I felt like I was just going in routine, like in the sense that I was just going up there and I felt like I was cheating myself for a while. Last week I was feeling like that, right? And it was just like, and then everybody that talks about hustle, because before I worked at a company and I did everything the company does. When you leave your job to start your dream, you have to remember that now you are the boss. So and I have to be honest with myself in a sense that you work harder for somebody else than what you do for yourself. And I've been struggling with that. Like, why do I work so much harder for somebody else than I do for myself? Right? So, and then I spent all week. So you got to be the one that not only that does your own thing, but you also have to be the one that motivates yourself, set up your own deadlines. You have to come up with, and I'm a Sagittarius. I have ADHD. So, and when you have ADHD, you're like, I could do that later. I could do that later. Right? When you're younger, when you're in your 20s, you want the shortcut. You want something quick. You want it now. And then life sometimes shows you people surpassing you and what you did, and you're like, mierda, ¿qué es lo que estoy haciendo yo mal? You start thinking to that to yourself, like, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? And last week I was in this headspace that I was just in the motions. I didn't want to do anything. Like, I did not feel like doing, like, I felt like I was just going up on stage. I was trying new jokes, but the jokes, I never sat down. I didn't sit down and write the jokes. And it also feels like time was flying by. And the week was going on, I was going up and I was doing good. I was like doing these shows and killing. And I would walk off stage and then immediately I was like, man, I didn't try the jokes that I wanted to. I feel like I cheated because I did a lot of crowd work. It was a lot of improv. It was a good, and I didn't even record them. And people be like, "Did you record that set? That was a fun set." I'm like, for you it was a fun set, but for me it was not a fun set because I felt like I cheated myself. And I think the expectations that you put on yourself is very important, right? So a lot of times you put higher expectations than you I feel like you should have high expectations for yourself, though. Right? I think it's also a good thing because it's so easy to fall back on just going with the motions and going with the flow, and I feel like that could get you. and that could turn around and bite you in the ass. And there's a lot of things that people don't talk about. People don't talk about these journeys when you are your own boss and you got to do your own thing and you have to fulfill your own dream and you got to be the one that takes the stand. And what about when shit hits the fan, how you're going to react? So the whole week I was like that. And then I did not want to hang out with anybody. And I think there's this hustle mentality that you have that goes like, oh man, I got to focus on this and I don't want to hang out with anybody. And then Aida flew in, Aida Rodriguez. You know, she's one of the top 4 female nationally touring comedians. If you don't support Aida Rodriguez, like, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Like, go out and support her because she's such a good person. She's my mentor. She flew in, and I saw her, and there was a part of me that didn't want to. She was staying far away, and I didn't want to hang out. I feel like I don't want to hang. And then you have this, I don't want to hang out with nobody because hanging out with your friends is a waste of time. And I was like, you know what? Let me go see her. I haven't seen her in a long time. And let me tell you something. The past 4 days have been, I spent 4 days with her hanging out. We've been going to places. We've been eating with a whole bunch of friends and stuff like that. And that has been fun for me. That has been the funnest time I had in a very long time. And I'm like, oh. And I had to wake up. I said, all these times I'm like hustling. I'm like just doing this, doing that work. And sometimes when you're like in the motions of doing work and you're always thinking and far ahead within your dream, that you kind of forget that the importance of living life with your friends. And I realized if I didn't hang out with Ida the last 4 days, I wouldn't have such a great time that I had the past 4 days. Right? And I sat down with her, and I thought she's been in the game for a very long time. She has a Netflix special, she has an HBO special, and a Showtime special. She also, I think she had me also in her Showtime special, which I opened up for her. And she was like, yo, you have ADHD, and she gave me the blueprint of what I need to do. I need to sit down and write. You know, if you write in the morning, start just writing jokes, and you need structure. You don't have structure. I don't have my jokes written anywhere. And she gave me the blueprint what I need to do. And I feel like the advice that she gave me opened up my eyes in so many different ways, because I'm not gonna lie, like before seeing her, I was like, I'm quitting everything. People don't talk about the ups and downs. People don't talk about like those so many times I feel like, and you guys don't see it. I'm like, I'm quitting. You know, I said that vaina ya. It's time to settle down and have some kids. And I want to settle down and have kids, you know. But I was like, I think people complain a lot about dating, but I was like, people are not really going out to date, right? Also, I bet like, yeah, I know you have to date in order to settle down. I know. But I learned the valuable lesson. The lesson was that sometimes you need to experience life in order to create art. You need to mingle with people because we are made to be around community. And we're so quick. Sometimes we make community when something drastic happens. Take a step out and create community. Hang out with your friends. Yes, okay, it's great to do your work and meet your deadline and make your videos and do what you need to do with work. But when you leave that, have a life outside of that. Put some time out so you could dance a little bit. Because, you know, sometimes you need to experience different things in order to create art. You know, like she went to see, there's a Frida Kahlo thing happening here in New York City in the museum, and they have the Frida Kahlo's artwork, and she was like, I'm gonna go over there so that I can find something that can inspire me. And she told me a story about that the chef was looking for something to inspire him, and he went to different places and different art museums, and he saw this one art. And this art was the one thing that inspired him to open up a brand new restaurant. and he went and he hustled hard and he found the inspiration. He created his restaurant. He built a massive successful restaurant. And what he did is, after he built this massive successful restaurant, he went back and bought the art that inspired him, and he has that same art in display in his restaurant. He said sometimes we're artists and we're like always writing jokes and creating content and stuff like that, that we don't take time to venture out and find inspiration from different types of art. And it could be plays, it could be operas, it could be any other things, but like art is art, you know? So the thing is, in reality is, you know, sometimes when you're younger, you think you're going to get things fast. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was gonna be like a multi-rich guy by now. And some people think I'm rich. I'm like, think whatever the freaking you want. Think whatever you want, right? But in reality, things takes more time than what you think they are. And you're better off. You're better off popping off when you're ready. And sometimes, I found myself looking at other people's career, and I was like, why are they popping off? Why are they popping off? Especially in stand-up. And I'm like, but do I want to be that type of comedian? Do I want their career? Do I want to be known for what they do? And the honest truth is, I wouldn't even want that. That's the truth. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm being very honest with y'all. But I think hanging out with Aida and her giving me the blueprint and coming out this week, I was like, you know what? I'm not quitting. And this is why I'm not quitting. Because if I go forward with my life and I'm 80 years old and I look back, I don't ever want to look back and regret anything that I could have done. And I feel like, yes, we're talking about life as a gift. And I know the future is not here yet. And what matters is this present moment. What I'm going to do today. And I'd rather do the things that I love. No matter how hard it is. And sometimes you could be in a good position and you forget the position you are in. That's why it's important to be grateful for what you have. You know? I think, what I want to do next is I'm going to wholeheartedly, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to focus on creating great jokes that when I go to different cities or different countries, I also want to have great jokes not only in English and Spanish, that I could create one of the strongest hour that I could ever create and focus on that. That's what I want. That's all I care about. There's a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of nonsense. And they were talking about, I saw a podcast and they were talking about there's two different things. There's signal and there's noise. Signal is when you're focused on the things that are completely going to change your future or impact you now or in the future. Noise is all the stuff that happens that distracts you. And when you have ADHD, there's a lot of noise all over the damn place. But how can you stay on signal? It's extremely hard in a very distracting world. But my next step is I'm going to focus on this one thing, and that's writing. Writing and creating this craft, this hour that I'm going to love. That if I die the next day after that, I'm going to be happy as hell. And if I got to go to different countries and different cities in order to try it out, then so be it. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. About my raw experience and feelings of what happened last week till now. And what I'm going to focus on next. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about the conversation? What do you guys think about what I'm talking about? Did you learn anything for yourself? Write in the comments. All right? Tell me. I read the comments. Tell me what you're going through. Yeah, also you could write down what are the things that you want to see. I know that this was not like this is such a funny podcast. No, this is raw. I want to be honest with you. I want to talk to you guys like you guys are my friends. Because you are my friends. Even if there's only one person listening to me right now, man, I appreciate you. That's 5-0. 5-0 driving by. Bueno. That is today's diary of the Gadiel del Orbe show. Welcome. I'm here every Wednesday. Make sure you guys to listen. If you guys see me in New York City, stop me, say hi. Thank you for joining the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. I know there's a lot going on. And one thing I want to tell you, like, if you're going through it, if you guys listening to me right now, man, everything's going to be okay, man. I had to get out of, sometimes you got to get out of your own way and realize how many times you're making excuses. How many times, not only that you're making excuses, but how many times you are complaining. And figure out how many times, because the moment that you do these two things, you're taking control out of your life. You're saying, I don't control my own life. I would say, like, this next week, if you see yourself complaining, if you see yourself giving excuses about something, take that out. Take it out of the way. And do something about it. Don't give that your power. Okay? Bueno. Lo quiero mucho. Que la pase bien. Te buena noche. Thank you for listening to me every Wednesday. You can find me on all platforms. And especially subscribe here on YouTube. Write in the comments. And if you listen to the podcast, give me my 5 stars, son. 5 stars, son. Talk to me. Lo quiero mucho. Que la pase bien.